I now want to introduce Luna Landers. Luna's from New London, New Hampshire, and is a junior at Kearsarge High School. She's very active in her school community, including participating in many clubs and activities, such as the Model UN. She's her class treasurer. She's on the student council. She's in the National Honor Society, and she plays varsity field hockey and tennis. In February of 2023, Luna participated in the first ever New Hampshire Bearing Credit Program with emphasis on empathic debate, team building, and public speaking. Then in April of this year, she completed a second credit bearing program as part of the Cultural Exchange Program at our campus in Northern Ireland. They focused on cultures in conflict, nonviolent communication, and goal setting for leaders. So today, Luna's receiving the Foley Fellowship for her Community Action Project, where she has taken the lessons from Friends Forever and expanded them to reach students from her school and beyond, hopefully, and we'll hear a bit about this project. Please welcome Luna Landers.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. As the 2024 Eileen D. Foley Fellow, it is my great privilege to stand before you all. I'd like to tell you about my journey with FFI and where it has taken me. During my sophomore year at Kearsarge Regional High School in Sutton, New Hampshire, I was clearing out my email in an attempt to curb the never-ending flow of messages. In the overwhelming deluge of class assignments and school announcements, one stood out against all odds. 1 week, 2 credits. As a self-professed overachiever, I jumped at the opportunity. I filled out the application, which did not ask for my GPA, but asked for my goals, my opinions, who I was, and who I wanted to become, and I hit submit. I was expecting yet another email to let me know if I had been accepted or not. Instead, my phone rang one afternoon with a call from Steve. He told me that I had been accepted into FFI's Empathetic Debate program and gave me more information about what to expect. As I'm sure some of you can relate to when it comes to Steve, I left that phone call thinking, what am I getting myself into? I feel so fortunate to have been chosen as a member of the first FFI credit bearing program. While earning the credit equivalent of 2 full-year courses, I met so many wonderful people, both on my team and across the New Hampshire community. Many of my teammates spoke different languages at home than they did at school. We came from mixed and modern families with complicated dynamics. My team laughed and cried together, both pushing and encouraging one another. I began to acknowledge my fears and hopes for the future. My team helped me accept that I am allowed to mourn for the things that I have lost, and that it won't stop me from moving forward. I learned so much during this program about the diversity of human experience. One of my teammates had struggled with mental health as a result of pressure from school, but was turning around to become a teacher to help students like her. Her name is Julia McCarthy, and she spoke here at the same podium last year as the 2023 Eileen D. Foley Fellow. She is now pursuing her higher education and chasing her dreams at Middlebury College in Vermont. All of us had aspirations for the future, for college and post-high school careers that we wanted to pursue. Each of us wanted different things, but shared values, and were equally scared and excited to see what would come next for us. After this first FFI program, I was buzzing. The beauty of FFI is such that you feel like anything is possible. I was overwhelmed with thoughts on how I could make an impact back in my home community. I was especially inspired by the curriculum we participated in. We learned the tenets of nonviolent communication by practicing how to listen, how to empathize, and how to express our needs while working towards a common goal. These workshops reframed how I viewed conflict and debate. Instead of a fight, the debate became a chance for opposing perspectives to come together under a common goal and seek accomplishment, which is only possible upon agreements of both sides. Revolutionary, right? My team's opinionated group of girls was able to pool our ideas and efforts to debate policies on immigration and practice how to talk to those with whom we profoundly disagree. With all this in mind, I was eager to take the opportunity to pursue a community action project with FFI. This process allowed me to flesh out and develop my event, which I call Building Bridges in New Hampshire. a youth conference focused on empathetic communication and discussing polarizing topics. This idea combined all that I had learned from my first FFI program with a hidden passion of mine, politics. I have been involved in politics for as long as I can remember. I listened to Fox News and NPR with my dad from a young age. Looking back, it's miraculous that I did not develop some sort of political schizophrenia. He would perch me on the kitchen island and talk to me frankly about the issues facing our country. Obamacare, immigration, COVID, international wars, the topics changed over the years. I've toured the White House, the Library of Congress, the Capitol, with permission, and every Smithsonian museum. Throughout it all, my parents spoke and listened to me as an equal contributor to these conversations, honestly sharing their opinions and asking mine. I'd like to thank my parents tonight for embedding in me the life lesson of listening to all viewpoints. At school, my passion was not shared. Trying to talk politics felt like stepping on a minefield. I had all these ideas and no way to share them. I feared people would label me as one thing or another and dismiss me, or use my agreement with them as a space to disparage others who disagreed. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted to talk to people, listen to them, and understand. While working on building bridges to address this issue, I was fortunate enough to be chosen from a pool of strong New Hampshire applicants to participate in an FFI program in Northern Ireland at no cost to me or my family. The focus of this trip was the Troubles. This period in Northern Ireland's history was an incredibly contentious and divided time, pitting Catholics and Protestants against each other. The most impactful part of this trip came with our time in Belfast. Walking around the city, you see physical reminders of the divide that still exists in Northern Ireland. One side flies the flag of Ireland, and the other flies the Union Jack. One side of the city flies Palestinian flags, and one flies Israeli. One side bears memorial to the Irish Republican Army, the other to the Ulster Defense Force. One side's heroes are regarded as the other side's villains. Every detail serves to remind outsiders, you do not belong here. These are not your people. Each side of the city tells their own version of the history. They are two very different sides of the same coin. Above all, they are physically divided by a prominent symbol, the peace wall. The structure is 50 feet tall, built with concrete and steel, and topped with barbed wire. It stretches miles across the city. It cuts through properties that would have otherwise been in the same community. Imagine a similar wall was erected just outside this building, along Congress Street, dividing Portsmouth in two. A 5-minute walk between houses is turned into a 20-minute drive by this barrier. Many sections still enforce curfews. The peace wall was erected to keep like with like and keep conflict at bay. While these walls still stand as a reminder of the division, they are covered in graffiti, public art, and messages promoting unity. Visitors from across the globe visit and contribute their call for peace. My name is on that wall now. Throughout this experience, my gears were turning about how to make building bridges into a reality. The hand-holding from FFI was over, and it was time for me to step out on my own and bring it to my own community. I hoped to find inspiration from this trip. I did. This powerful piece of history, this reminder of just how real divisions can become, stuck with me. New Hampshire is a purple state. In every grocery store, workplace, or classroom, you are just as likely to find a staunch conservative as you are to find a lifelong liberal. That is the case in this room as well. These people sit next to each other, live next to each other, and work next to each other, yet it seems impossible to cross the political bridge and acknowledge the differences that divide our state. I recently attended a Braver Angels debate. This organization brings red and blue voters together for workshops, debates, and tough conversations. The topic of discussion was, the upcoming election threatens our democracy. I intended to just listen. I wanted to prepare for my event and see how the organizers managed the debate. While there, though, I was struck with the desire to share my opinion. I volunteered to give one of the speeches. I was so nervous, perhaps even more nervous than I was to get up here in front of you all, and I spoke in the negative. I did not believe the upcoming election threatened our democracy. I spoke to a room full of experienced voters and community members, all of whom were older than me by decades. and express that I believe that this election is not a threat to our democracy because we, my generation, are starting to come together to take our place and perform our civic duty. I am full of optimism about the future. After my speech, the floor was open for questions. An audience member asked me what I thought about the apathy of my peers, who may purposefully step back from politics, not believing their voice matters. I said that they were right about that. Young people are growing up in a divided nation, but I truly believe that we are determined to endure, that we can overcome this. That movement, that progress, starts with bridging the divides between red and blue, old and young, and everything else that separates us. This was the final push of motivation to create Building Bridges New Hampshire. I want to build a future on the foundation of optimism. New Hampshire is the first primary in the nation, where one of the greatest and most enduring processes of our democracy kicks off. And each election ushers in a whole new generation of young voters to carry the torch. So, what better place is there than our state to commit to building bridges? To unite kids to talk about the tough issues and learn what it means to have an opinion and defend it, while understanding and welcoming the perspectives of others. Because of FFI and the curiosity I gained to engage in my community, I am hosting the Building Bridges New Hampshire Conference tomorrow morning. In New London, students from my school and around the state will come together to learn how to have tough conversations and stay curious. New Hampshire State Representative, the 2022 Eileen D. Foley Fellow, and FFI alumni Jonah Wheeler will join our group of panelists to discuss the importance of bipartisanship. Students will learn how to remain open to changing their minds. That skill is difficult to harness, but necessary, especially at our age, where we have years ahead of us to grow and learn what we believe in. I must pause here to express my gratitude to Francie Reed. Francie is a fellow FFI alum and a dear friend of mine from Kearsarge High School who's joining me this evening. Francie, thank you for being by my side, for believing in the vision even when it seemed too ambitious, and for sending me text reminders about emails and meetings that I always seem to miss. She really shows what FFI is all about, showing young people what they can accomplish by themselves and helping them find their community of people who can push them even further, making a difference not alone, but together. Looking ahead, I see a future in numbers. I'm going to college for accounting. I'm already practicing that. Amelia told me there'd be about 20 people here listening to me this evening, and those numbers are not adding up. But FFI has awakened in me another passion, community organizing. I look forward to combining my existing skills and newfound passions as I settle into my purpose. Before I go, I want to acknowledge all of you here tonight. We are building it, the future, one bridge at a time. Your support makes this possible, not just for me, but for all young people who are part of this program. I hope this will inspire you all to look at how you interact with others. My challenge to you is this: listen to those who are different from you. Take advantage of opportunities that come your way and be optimistic. And, of course, always check your email. Thank you for listening.